mean to tell me there was only one witness to this whole thing?
Only one we could find who had a clear view of what happened. Detective, this is a residential street.
Yeah, well, what about other traffic?
There wasn't any. The lady's car was the only one in the street.
Yeah, well, how about a pedestrian? I mean, somebody could have been crossing against the light. She might have swerved to avoid hitting them.
That's not what the witness said. There was nobody else around. She just hit the bridge stanchion.
You mean she just lost control and cracked it up?
That's how it looks to me. Maybe there's something wrong with the car.
Or maybe there's something wrong with the driver.
We'll see my daddy.
We'll see him later. Come here.
We'll see my daddy.
I'll let you know if there are any further complications. Thank you.
We'll see my daddy.
Derek, are they going to take much more time? Can't they tell us what's happening?
It's more important for them to be in there doing everything they can.
Yeah, I guess so.
Raven, please don't get any false hopes up. I tried to be straight with you before.
Oh, God.
She ran her car straight into the bridge abutment.
I just don't know how it could have happened. She always said she was such a good driver.
These things just happen.
Is Mrs. Scott's daughter here?
Yes, this is... Is she okay?
You were told that she sustained numerous and severe injuries during the car crash.
Yeah, but she's going to be all right, isn't she?
We did everything we could to save her. But it was a really rough battle. She died only moments ago.
She's dead.
I'm very sorry. Are you going to stay with her?
Yes, I'll stay with her.
I can't believe this. I'm going to go find
No,
her.
Raven. You want to sedate? Do you want me to get the doctor?
No, I don't want to sedative. I want my mother. Derek, I'm not ready for this.
I know.
I just left her a few hours ago. She was in my apartment. And I never should have let her go. She shouldn't have been driving.
Raven, come on. You can't change the past. Sit down.
I just didn't think when I said goodbye to her it would be for the last time.
Look, did she take any drugs before she left?
I don't think so.
Something that she might have gotten from the hospital. You know, there are some kinds of drugs you shouldn't take when you're driving.
I don't know.
You two were pretty worked up emotionally. Must have been some fight.
No, it wasn't. We didn't fight. I mean, we had arguments like mothers and daughters, but I loved my mother and she loved me.
Okay, forget I said it. I'm sorry.
She was a very sick woman. And they forgot something. She should never have left the hospital. The doctors must have missed something.
She was probably weakened by several days in bed and her senses were dull. I know.
That must have been it. She must have just lost control of the car. But it really doesn't matter. She's gone. And now I don't have any family. I'm all by myself.
Thank you. You're welcome. I'll bring your salads in a moment.
Splendid.
Well, I just cannot wait to hear the whole story about what happened to Drape in the last 6 months.
Well, we may never know the whole story. There's still a lot of gaps in Draper's memory.
Well, you told me yourself that he told you quite a bit.
He told me a few things. We learned a few other things from other people who were involved. Molly Sherwood, for one, who happened to be in the Galt house the night that he stumbled into the backyard, only hours after the train wreck.
And Emily really believed that he was her husband.
Oh, yeah. Well, she was ready to believe it. She'd been waiting for that man to return for 10 years.
Love certainly makes people do strange things, doesn't it?
Makes the world go round.
Makes the world go crazy.
That too. That, too. Certainly in the case of Emily Michaels, she's cracked up pretty badly.
Yeah, well, I'm sure she's not very happy about the reunion between April and Draper.
No, she wasn't. I was, though. It was something to see. Fine man, good man, friend. Back with a woman he loves him. It's the way it ought to be.
No mixed feelings? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Skip it.
Oh, it's all right. You're a friend, right? Aren't you?
I hope so.
I never made a secret of the fact that I was seeing April, did I?
Well, no, why should you make it a secret?
Exactly. There was no reason. Then. But that was then. And now I think that anyone who might have impressions about what happened or didn't happen between April and me should try and put those impressions out of their mind.
Can you?
Whatever happened between April and me is best forgotten by all concerned.
How do you forget your feelings, Logan?
You do what you have to do.
Oh, there you are. Boy, am I glad your service knew where to find you. Look, I'm sorry about interrupting your dinner.
What are you doing here, Calvin?
Red, you and I have to go on duty. Logan, I'm really sorry about
Oh,
this.
it's no problem. Duty calls, I understand.
As a matter of fact, this may interest you. It might affect you, sort of.
Well, you have my undivided attention.
Well, there's been an accident over on Jefferson Avenue. A car driven by Nadine Scott was completely totaled.
Raven's mother? How is she?
Well, I called Monticello General a little while ago. I'm afraid she passed away just moments ago.
Poor Raven.
Has Raven been told?
No, I suppose so. She's at the hospital with the chief now. Red, you and I have got to go do the preliminary investigation.
We don't even... Logan, I'm really sorry about this dinner.
No, it's all right. I'd better leave it with you. Somebody will have to be with Raven. Check.
Took you a long time to memorize a routine like that.
Oh, yeah, it does.
Your teacher was fascinating. And me too. I really enjoyed being your audience of one, Jody.
Yeah, well, it wasn't much of a performance.
Don't you believe that? Listen, what do you say? One night when the club closes, we step out and then you can watch me dance.
Oh, to tell you the truth, after the club closes, I'm so tired, all I'm ready to do is flop into bed.
Really?
I think I better go set the tables now.
Run along, Jody. Good evening, Charlie.
And a top of the evening to you too, Mr. Dorn.
Give me the usual. I think I need a drink.
Sure. You're here later than usual.
I stopped by at the dance studio where Jody works out. I wanted to see if the lessons she spends her salary on are justified.
Well, if you're going to start checking up on the help, you can find me most afternoons at the racetrack, ripping up tickets I thought were sure things. Hey, how was the kid? Can she really dance?
Charlie, the kid has quite some ability.
I like her legs too, Mr. Dorn.
She's a very nice addition to the club.
Good, because our friend over there could be a bit of a problem.
Why?
Well, our resident puppeteer caused quite a scene a little while ago.
What happened?
Well, there was this dude at the bar who was pretty well oiled. But I served him because he was nice and quiet. Well, that lasted until Kelly came over with one of his puppets.
So?
Well, the guy gave him a hard time. Then he picks up a drink and pours it over the puppet's head.
That must have been a pleasant sight.
Well, he didn't think it was funny at all. He jumped all over the guy.
Our mild-mannered Kelly?
I thought he was going to strangle him. It took all I could to pull him off the drunk.
I knew performers are supposed to be temperamental, but this is going a bit too far.
Yeah, well, that kid's got a temper you won't believe. It was really scary, Mr. Dorn.
Oh, I think he owes us an explanation. Kelly? Yeah? Could you step over here for a while, please?
What can I do for you, Mr. Dorn?
Kelly, I understand you had a bit of a scuffle in my absence.
Yeah, I suppose I did.
Now, Kelly, I pay you to entertain the clientele, not to beat up on them.
Yeah, well, the guy was drunk. Well, I tried to be polite to him, but he took a half a bottle of booze and started to pour it over the puppet's head. Well, those puppets are a lot of time and investment to me, you know? Well, let's just look at it another way. I did you a favor.
How's that?
Well, it's against the law to serve alcohol to a puppet that's a minor.
We are not amused.
Okay. I lost my head, and I'm sorry, and it won't happen again.
Make sure it doesn't, Kelly. Because people are going to think twice about coming to a club that has a reputation for fights.
I promise to count to 10 next time.
Well, count to 200 if it's necessary. Kelly, the next time a fight happens because of you, your next audience will be the unemployment line.
I think I understand what you're trying to say, Mr.
Thank you.
You did get out of line. Now, that rough stuff is bad for business. You understand me?
Okay, Charlie, okay. I'm really sorry about what happened, and I promise to be on my good behavior from now on, okay?
Well, don't you forget it.
Okay.
Hey, what happened? I couldn't help but overhear Mr. Dorn.
Just got in a little trouble, that's all. He got into a fight with a drunk.
Thought you weren't violent.
Oh, I'm not. He just started to make fun of one of my puppets, and I overreacted, that's all. Hey, Jody, I wasn't looking to get in a fight. I just overreacted and decided to call him on it. In fact, I wasn't even thinking about what I was doing.
You're as bad as Gavin.
How does he get into this?
Before tonight, I thought Gavin Wiley was the only man who lost his temper at the drop of a hat.
He does, huh?
Yeah. It's a good thing he just yells a lot.
Well, if he yells at you so much, why do you hang around him?
Because when Gavin yells at me, there's a reason. He wants me to be a better dancer. Because he cares.
Well, if he cares about you, I'd think that he'd try and be nicer to you.
Yeah, well, that's just his way. He really is a wonderful teacher.
Is he?
Yeah. Gavin forces you to think about what you're doing and why. I just wish he wouldn't. I'll forget it.
Wait a minute. Wouldn't what?
Gavin expects his devotion to rub off on me. And sometimes I don't think that's fair.
Well, Jody, you're the one that thinks that dancing is the only thing left in the world.
Yeah, but Gavin expects me to eat, sleep, and live dancing 7 days a week.
Well, I've tried to tell you that there's more to life than just dancing. In fact, I'd really like to show you if you'd give me a chance.
Jody, you decided on an evening yet we could go out and paint the town red?
Actually, I haven't given it much thought, Mr. Dorn.
Yeah, Jody really doesn't have much of a chance to go out because she's dancing all the time.
Who put you in charge of Jody's social calendar?
Well, nobody. She just always tells me that she has to go to the studio and practice, that's all.
Maybe that ought to tell you something. Kelly, don't you have something to do? Something that I pay you for?
Oh, you mean like reprogram the light board?
For example?
Yeah. See you later.
Want some coffee or something?
No, I don't want anything, thank you.
I came as soon as I heard. I just can't tell you how sorry I am.
I appreciate your concern.
Is there anything I can do?
Can you stay with Raven?
Well, of course.
I think I ought to get back to the scene of the accident. I want to find out just what happened and why.
Well, go on ahead. I'll look after her.
Stay calm. You'll be all right. If I hear anything important, I'll let you know.
I can't believe this is happening to me.
It's going to be a rough time for you.
I'm surprised you came.
Man, I thought you should have somebody.
Yeah, I feel pretty alone right now. I don't have anybody anymore.
Well, you have friends, you have other family.
I have my little boy, and you keep trying to take him away from me.
Raymond, I don't think this is the time or the place to discuss Jamie.
I'm sorry. But the world seems like a very hostile place to me now, and I really don't have anyone to turn to.
You're a very strong, very self-sufficient woman. If you put your mind to it, you will come through this just fine.
I'm not as strong as you think. And I really did rely on my mother.
Did you? Really?
Yes, I did. Maybe not in the literal sense, but she was always there. Even though there was thousands of miles away in London. Oh, God.
What's the matter?
Ansel. He doesn't know. I wonder if it's too late to call him. Although I don't know what I'd say.
If you like, I'll telephone him.
Would you? That's very nice. It's not just Ansel, though. I have to tell other people. I have to make funeral arrangements.
If you want, I will take care of everything.
And why would you want to do that?
Somehow at a time like this, our differences just don't seem all that important, and there's no reason for you to have to deal with these unpleasant details.
I should have known you would help me. We really did have some good times, didn't we?
But if there's anything that I can do, just say the word.
I really would like to get out of here. I'd like to go home.
I've got my car downstairs. Come on, I'll take it.
Looking out the window, waiting for my husband to come home. He's an hour late from work and he never calls. I saw the whole thing.
Exactly what did you see?
The car turned onto Jefferson Avenue from Spring Street. And it was going right down like it was minding its own business. And all of a sudden, it veers off right into that pole. Kaboom! You know what I mean? That's when I called the emergency number for you guys.
Exactly how fast would you say the car was going?
Well, not fast at all. It certainly wasn't speeding.
Before the car hit the pole, was it swerving or did the driver appear to be in control?
Well, I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary happening until it went smack into that pole.
Was there anybody else in the front seat with the driver, or was there anybody else on the street?
I didn't notice anybody getting out of the car, and there wasn't a soul on the street. I tell you, it was as if that woman drove straight for the pole, as if she wanted to hit it.
Why would somebody do that?
Oh, well, you're asking the wrong person. I'm a housewife, not a psychiatrist.
You know what, Calvin? I think that we ought to talk to Raven about this, since she's probably the last person who saw her mother alive.
You're probably
What
right.
have you found out so far?
Oh, Chief, look.
Mrs. Wentworth, look, we'd like to talk to you a little bit later. Don't go away, okay?
I'll be in my house anytime you want me, okay? Trying to keep my husband's dinner from burning. He's probably out drinking with the boys.
Take care. Chief, how did Raven take the news?
He's taking it pretty badly.
Huh?
All right. What happened out here? How'd this car get this way?
Well, look, Chief, as far as we can tell, I mean, Mrs. Scott just lost control of the car and cracked it up.
It was the only moving vehicle in the vicinity. Nobody ran her off the road.
David insists her mother was a good driver.
Well, even so, she must have had a pretty bad night. I mean, the street is obviously bone dry, and there are no traces of any skid marks.
Car didn't go into a skid?
No, obviously also, there's no obstacles for her to have tried to avoid hitting.
What are you trying to say? She did this on purpose?
Well, look, we don't have any facts to back up anything.
Well, get some facts. I want to know why this woman died.
Ease off, Chief. We're doing the best we can. I mean, all we can do right now is speculate, you know?
She could have fallen asleep and her hand could have slipped off the wheel.
All right, we can't discount the possibility of mechanical failure either.
Yeah, well, as soon as I get this heap dragged into the police garage, I'll have it gone over from top to bottom.
From what I've heard, my guess is she probably had a stroke or a heart attack.
There's something else we're going to have to do, too.
What's that?
We're going to have to order an autopsy.
Hi, Mrs. Cross.
Mrs. Swift, hi.
How's Jamie?
Oh, not a peep out of him. No trouble at all since you left.
Good. I'm glad he wasn't any trouble.
Mrs. Swift, I was listening to the radio and I heard the news about your mother. I'm awfully sorry.
Thank you. It was a terrible thing.
If there's anything I can do,
I'll take care of Jamie now, so you can go.
Okay.
This be enough?
Oh, sure, thanks.
Well, I'll call Ansel.
I think I'll go take a look at Jamie.
Okay. Yes, operator, I'd like to make an overseas call, London, England. This will be person to Mr. Ansel Scott. That's A-N-S-E-L. Thank you.
Go to sleep now. My little $1 million baby. Quiet now, huh? Look what I got for you. Look what I got for you. You want this? No? You don't want a cookie? Yeah, I know, baby. Well, look. You don't want this cookie? Your grandma died tonight, baby. Your grandma died tonight. But don't be sad, okay? Because that makes you a very, very rich little boy.
Still don't know why Nadine Scott's car wound up wrapped around that bridge abutment.
No, unfortunately, we don't have any more facts, only more speculation.
We can give you 3 possible choices. A mechanical defect in the car.
Except, now, the guy at the rental agency swears he can produce mechanical records that prove that the car was in perfect condition.
She could have been a bad driver, not looked where she was going.
And went 50 feet out of her way to smash into that thing now.
Well, maybe she was distracted. Could consider suicide.
Oh, that's ridiculous. She couldn't be sure about ending it all that way. People that commit vehicular suicide, they go off cliffs, things like that.
Well, Chief, you know, I still think that your first idea makes the most sense. I mean, she probably had some sort of a seizure, or a heart attack or stroke, something like that.
And that is why Calvin and I both think we must have an autopsy. You never know what we might find.
We are well aware of the cause of death. She suffered multiple fractures, a punctured lung, and internal bleeding, the last of which is what finally killed her.
Chief, that was her condition after the wreck. I would like to know what she was like before.
Deborah's got a valid point, Chief. I mean, we all know Nadine Scott was ill. I mean, she'd just been released from the hospital.
There's no doubt that Nadine Scott initiated that one-car pileup. There were no moving vehicles in the vicinity at the time of the wreck.
And there were no pedestrians on the street.
For all we know, a stray cat ran across the street. She swerved to avoid hitting it.
Chief, there were no skid marks. There was nothing that indicated that she made any drastic steering corrections.
Yeah, you're right. Well, we still can't discount the possibility of mechanical failure, no matter what the rental agency says.
Chief, do you have any objections to a post-mortem?
I didn't say that I did.
Well, it's the only way we're going to find out what really happened. I mean, Mrs. Scott was already in bad health, so...
She wasn't all that sick. I happen to know that she suffered from some kind of enteritis. With proper care, she would have been okay.
No? Did you talk to her doctor?
No, not yet, but I'm going to.
Her daughter, maybe.
Detective, we are investigating an accident. This is not a criminal matter. Now, what kind of justification can I give for ordering an autopsy?
Why don't you think her next of kin would approve?
You know, that might be interesting if Raven objected.
What is that supposed to mean?
Nothing. Just a comment.
Look, it wouldn't hurt to ask, Chief. I mean, you do want to know what happened, don't you?
No matter how many losses one has, it never gets any easier. We've been friends for something more than 30 years. Sisters couldn't have been closer. And now she's gone.
It was so sudden, I'm sure that contributes to the shock.
God, Logan, what an awful way to lose one's life.
There's never anything to say at a time like this. I just wish there was something that I could do.
I'll be all right.
It's funny. I find myself worrying about how Raven is going to deal with the loss.
Well, she and Nadine were never very close.
Well, be that as it may, I have never, ever seen Raven so upset. I mean, she's taking all of this very, very hard.
Maybe she's suffering pangs of guilt. Wouldn't surprise me at all to find that their quarreling had something to do with all of this. I hope Raven is satisfied. Now she won't have to contend with the bickering anymore.
Oh, Geraldine, I don't think you mean that.
You're quite right, I don't. I'm just being overly harsh.
Raven and Nadine certainly didn't have what you would call an idyllic relationship, but I can't bring myself to believe that Raven would want her mother dead.
No, of course not. No, in spite of Raven's faults, I'm sure she must be terribly stricken by all this.
By the way, I called Ansel from over at Raven's place. He was shocked, of course, but I felt that he had to be told. And we did manage to discuss funeral arrangements. I'll get it. Coming! Cliff, what are you doing here at this time of night?
I know it's late, I'm sorry, but boss, we gotta talk. It's important.
It's a little late to drop in unannounced, I would say.
Hi, Geraldine. I'm sorry to barge in like this, but I just heard what happened to Raven's mother.
Well, if you want to pay your respects, I'm sure she's at home, but if I were you, I would wait till later.
I'm worried about how this is going to affect us.
In what way?
We're in the middle of a custody battle, scheduled to go on in 2 days, and now this happens?
Well, I hadn't thought about that. I guess now Raven will get what she wanted.
What do you mean? What's that?
Well, the other day she asked me if I would object to a postponement of the proceedings.
A postponement? Oh, what do you mean? What for?
Well, she didn't say, except that she had things to take care of.
She's just trying to buy time so she can undermine our case. We can't let Judge Lewis grant a postponement.
Well, under the circumstances, I don't see how we can reasonably object to you. Not that I would want to, anyway. Not now. I suppose you're right.
Taking a hard line at a time like this certainly wouldn't gain points with Judge Lewis, that's for sure.
Exactly. Why don't you call her lawyer first thing tomorrow morning? Tell him we'll be happy to agree to a 2-week delay.
All right. You know, maybe Raven would want to get this thing over and done with, despite what would happen.
I wouldn't bet on it.
No, but wait, this might be a very good time to take her case to court.
In what way? What do you mean by that?
You know, sympathy. I mean, her mother did just die.
Good Lord, you may be right.
I think I'd better go see Raven and talk her into a postponement.
Give it a try.
Right. Good night.
Good night, Cliff. Certainly not my favorite way to spend an evening, but I'll be available if you need me.
I hate to drag you out of the house once you've settled in for the night, but I've given this a high priority.
It's all right. Listen, if the procedure's done at all, it's best we do it quickly. I mean, there's less breakdown of tissues, much more chance of our coming up with something.
Well, I don't know that you can find anything anyway. Saxon's being a bulldog on this, so...
Well, as I say, if you do need me, your chief forensics officer is available.
All right, well, just don't hold your breath waiting for the phone to ring. There's only one way this autopsy is going to be performed, and that's with Raven's consent. I just don't know if we're going to get it.
All right, let me know one way or the other, will you? Thanks. Bye-bye.
Derek wants you to do an autopsy of Nadine Scott.
Yeah, maybe.
But why? We know how she died.
Well, we know she died in a car crash. We don't know what caused the car crash.
The report I had said that she lost control of her car and she crashed into a bridge
What
support.
made her lose control of her car? It may be time to look for something that is not quite so obvious.
Well, Nadine hasn't been feeling very well. Maybe her illness was responsible.
Well, that's possible. That's the kind of thing that an autopsy might show.
It's just incredible. I mean, I saw her a week ago at Dr. Stewart's office, and now she's gone.
This is the kind of thing nobody can predict.
She didn't look sick.
Yes, well, sometimes appearances are deceiving. I'm going to have to call Dr. Stewart and get a complete medical history on her.
Well, I'm sure he'll help you.
As a matter of fact, when I call him, I'm going to be able to kill two birds with one stone. Because he's got another patient I'd be interested to have some information on. My wife.
When you call Dr. Stewart, do me a favor and don't mention my name.
My wife has got a medical problem. Why shouldn't I take an interest?
Miles, you've been watching over me like a mother hen. It's not necessary.
Why don't you just chalk it up to professional curiosity, then?
I don't want to think about being sick because I'm not sick anymore. I am much better.
Well, you have had a little bit more energy lately, a little bit more color in your cheeks.
Right. I mean, this whole anemia business was just temporary. I feel fine.
Yeah, what I'm saying is you got to take care of yourself or it's likely to come back.
You sound like a doctor. How much am I going to have to pay for this consultation?
We both know that it was you who brought on the condition by letting yourself get too run down.
I just do what I have to do.
No, I tell you what, try doing a little bit less than what you have to do. You know perfectly well you can reduce your schedule if you want to.
Look who's talking about reducing schedules, the original workaholic.
Oh, wait, we're not talking about me now. Come on.
All right. Okay. You cut down on your work schedule, and then I'll cut down on my work schedule. Don't you try to bribe.
Don't bribe me now. Listen, I'm telling you all this for your own good.
Miles, you put in as much work time as I do, and sometimes more. I happen to love you, and I don't like seeing you run yourself into the ground like that. Okay. Tell you what.
What?
I think maybe if you were to cut down on your work time a little bit, if we were both to do that something very good might come out of it.
What is that?
Well, if you spent a little less time in your office, and I spent a little bit less time in my office, then we could both spend more time here and be together.
Look, if I thought there was a chance of seeing you more, I probably could be induced to go into an early retirement.
Oh, really?
That's true.
Well, don't take down your shingle just yet, okay?
What's this?
What's what?
You got it on your face.
Oh, it's just makeup. Surely you've seen makeup before, but if you were any kind of gentleman, you wouldn't mention it.
Not a gentleman, I'm a doctor. How much rouge you got on?
Rouge? Rouge and not with high-button shoes. This is blush on. That's what we call it now. Nowadays, it sounds much nicer.
Well, I got a different word for it. It's camouflage.
Well, surely that's a woman's privilege.
Maybe a woman's privilege. It's not a patient's privilege.
Who said anything about being a patient?
You're a patient. You've got a medical problem. No. That's why you've been seeing Dr. Stewart.
I've been seeing Dr. Stewart, but I feel much better.
Maybe
I told
you feel better, but underneath all that pretty blush, you just as pale as ever?
pale and interesting. What's wrong with that?
Sweet, are you sure you're all right? You're not just kidding me?
Yes, I am all right. Would you stop worrying?
I worry about you so much because I love you so much.
Well, love me, but don't worry.
Who is it?
Cliff Nelson.
Hi, Cliff. What can I do for you?
I hope I didn't get you at a bad time.
Well,
I'm sorry, that was stupid. This must be a terrible time for you.
you've heard about the accident?
Yes. I want you to know how sorry I am. It was a terrible tragedy.
Thank you for your concern. Well, good night.
I thought we might discuss some business.
Now?
Now, you know that I wouldn't indulge you at a time like this unless it was important. It'd only take a few minutes.
Well, can't we talk about it in court?
That's exactly what I want to talk to you about. When we meet in court.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the proceedings are supposed to begin in about 3 days.
Well, I thought you might want a postponement.
Why would I want that?
To get over the initial shock of your mother's death.
What has happened makes me want to get this thing over with as soon as possible. The sooner the better.
I thought you were all hepped up about putting this off. I mean, at least you were before tonight.
Cliff, it's just me and Jamie now. That's why I want possession as soon as possible, because I want to make sure that Jamie is right here with me forever.
Well, don't you want some time to, handle the details of your mother's funeral?
Well, yes, actually, I should let a little time pass in deference to my mother. Just, make it fast, okay?
That's a very wise decision. I'll, handle the postponement with your lawyer.
Thank you, Cliff.
Raven, you could do yourself a big favor and call off these proceedings altogether.
What?
Oh, no, you're in a very bad time now. The best thing you could do would be to hand Jamie back to Logan before the court takes him back from you.
No!
Be reasonable. With April's testimony in the case we have against you for abandonment, we have you dead to rights. Why go through the emotional strain of a court trial when you know you're going to lose in the end?
Who put you up to this? Did Logan send you here, or was this your idea?
Raven, I just want you to avoid as much heartache as possible.
How dare you? How dare you come in here and try to take advantage of my vulnerabilities? To manipulate me to give up my kid?
That was not my intention at all.
I should report you to the Bar Association. You're trying to take advantage of me, and I've just had a death in the family. Surely that's unethical.
Unethical? Look, I'm just trying to help.
Cliff, Look, I want to make something very, very clear. There is going to be a custody trial, and I am going to win. Logan is not going to take my baby away from me.
Well, with all due respects, dear, that remains to be seen.
My mother is gone, and I will move heaven and earth to keep my son. So, Mr. Nelson, you can just go tell your client that I am more determined than ever to keep my son.
Well, your determination is not going to change the facts.
Don't look so confident about this case, Mr. Hotshot Lawyer, because you're in for a very rude awakening.
Well, facts are facts, and they happen to be on our side.
Well, you can just keep your facts, because I have the judge on my side.
Oh, yeah. You really think so, huh?
Yes. The judge usually awards custody to the mother. And if you don't think that he's going to be particularly sympathetic in this case, you're very wrong, and he's crazy.
You are crazy
Why
now.
don't you just go tell Logan that he should give up this custody case because he is wasting his time?
Are you kidding? Logan would never, ever do that.
Who is it?
It's Deborah Saxon, Raven.
Great, another one of my favorite friends. What do you want?
I'd like to talk to you for a minute if I could.
Why does everyone want to talk to me now? Why can't you just leave me alone with my grief?
Believe me, I am not here to upset you. Cliff, what are you doing here?
Well, you're on business. Don't get excited. And I'm finished. I'm leaving now.
Good night, Cliff. Thanks for dropping by.
I really am sorry about your mother.
Good night.
Good night.
You have my sympathies as well. I want you to know that.
Yeah. What else do you want?
Well, I'd like to ask you one little question, then I'll be on my way.
All right. What is it?
Will you grant permission to have an autopsy performed on your mother's body?
What?
Now, I know it's asking a lot, and this is a bad time, but it's very, very important.
Why?
It's the only way we can come up with an explanation as to the cause of the accident that took your mother's life.
Forget it. Absolutely not.
Don't you want to know why she lost control of the car?
Not particularly. It's not going to give her back her life.
At least give it some thought, Raven.
No! If you think I'm going to let you and your morbid friends get your jollies by cutting up my mother, you are crazy.
I wouldn't ask you this unless it was absolutely necessary.
All I want is a little peace for my mother. And I would like a little peace myself. It has been a particularly trying day, so if you will excuse me.
Why don't we talk about this again in the morning when you're less upset?
No! I said N-O. Can't you understand that? Now, will you please leave?
Raven, don't fight me on this.
Detective.
There will be an autopsy performed.
Over my dead body.
Consent of next of kin is the simplest way of getting an autopsy performed, but it's not the only way, Raven.